Let's bring in retired Colonel Mike Jernigan. He's a visiting fellow for national security at the Heritage Foundation. The Iranians are not known for telling the truth. They are also known to stall for time. Is that what's going on here, Colonel?
Yeah, I completely think that both of those things are happening. I think the Iranians are aware that President Trump's birthday is tomorrow, and he's got a big event at the White House. And I think that they are also exploiting his desire to be a deal maker. And so anything that the Iranians do, we have to distrust automatically after 47 years of experience, frankly. So I would not be surprised if the Iranians are stringing this along. Simultaneously, I do think we struck some significant things in the last 48 hours in the most recent attacks that they said, yeah, no kidding, we really need to get an agreement. So it's going to be interesting to see which way it goes.
But it seems like, you know, they haven't even agreed to end their nuclear program. It's all very vague, very tenuous. And they're saying there's not going to be a deal tomorrow, but possibly within a couple of days. It just doesn't, it's like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall, I guess.
Yeah, such a good expression, that nailing Jell-O to a wall. I think what we're seeing is the Iranians are agreeing to have an agreement in 60 days. And they're continuing to kick this can down the curb and farther along. They are not making any legitimate efforts to give up their nuclear weapons aspirations. It doesn't appear that they're making any efforts to stop funding Hezbollah and stop Hezbollah from attacking Israel. So they're not negotiating. They're just saying, we don't want to give up anything, and we want all of it. And that's not a negotiation. So it'll be interesting to see what develops in the coming hours.
Well, they're also still attacking shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, they launched drones at a bunch of civilian ships. Hard to believe they have any left, but they did that. If they're still attacking shipping, how serious can they be about peace?
Absolutely. Such a good point. This morning, the United Kingdom Maritime Transit Operations, kind of the 411 information call of running ship information in the Arabian Gulf, they reported this morning that a ship moving west to east and east of Oman was struck by Iranian projectile, either a missile or a drone. Now, what that west to east means and east to Oman is that ship has transited the Straits. And in fact, The Guardian is reporting that between 5 and 20 ships a day are quietly getting through the Straits of Hormuz that Iran has said is closed.
Well, what does that mean? Does it mean that the U.S. Has successfully reopened the Strait, or is Iran picking the ships that it will allow through?
I think what it means is that there's a traffic jam. When this all started, there were 1,600 ships inside and 1,000 ships outside the Straits of Hormuz on commerce. As was just reported, more than 100 ships have been turned around as being related to the Iranians, and 9 ships have been disabled, and the Iranians have hijacked and pirated 4 ships. So there's still a lot of ships. And so what I think it means is that the U.S. is quietly allowing people to queue up, inspecting their papers, and if you have nothing to do with Iran, going through. And so there's a difference in Iran saying that it's closed and being open, and a difference in the U.S. allowing people through. Because if it was open, 130 ships a day move through typically the Straits of Hormuz. And so 5 to 20 is not stopped, but it's a degradation. So I think it's fair to say that the insurance companies have taken the Iranians' threat of closing the Straits of Hormuz as throttling the Straits of Hormuz, but it's still open, and the United States is allowing ships through that have no connection to Iran.
The former deputy commander of CENTCOM says the Iranians are getting desperate. Listen.
They've been paying the price for the blockade and the economic strangulation they've been suffering from. And so I think that's what's driving them now more than ever. They need money. I just don't know how this is going to play out, but I understand the strategy, and that's what's driving Iran to the table now. They need to survive.
A quick response to that, Colonel.
I completely agree with the Admiral. Their economics are strangled. 141 ships, CENTCOM is reporting, have been turned back. That's not stuff that's making money for Iran.
All right. Colonel Mike Jernigan, it's good to have you on. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube. And catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.